Farming on the western edge of New South Wales is tough at the best of times. Now, after years with hardly any rain, Anika Molesworth is a sheep farmer with no sheep.
The last sheep sale was November last year, and it was quite an emotional experience because you're really like closing up shop. That's the end of your livelihood.
Without any livestock, Anika's focus is now on saving the trees that are left on the family's vast property as part of a regeneration program.
Particularly the older tree species, the river red gums, the mulga trees that have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years that are now dying or have died. Something has changed. Something is different than it has been for hundreds of years. Climate change is here. It's threatening Australian livelihoods and farmers already today. In 2050, if there was no change on the current climate trajectory, I doubt there will be a farm business out here where I'm standing.
Our goal is to reach net zero emissions as soon as possible, and preferably by 2050.
Scott Morrison is crab walking towards a net zero emissions target for 2050. But it's not official policy yet, unlike in most other countries. Before then, the Prime Minister needs to manage his temperamental coalition partner, the National Party, as it conducts its own internal debate on the issue.
There is no plan. There is a statement. There is a statement which gives no details.
So I'm not going to agree to sign up to anything that is going to mean massive job losses in regional Australia and food prices for Australians that can't be afforded by families.
In Australia, primary industries are responsible for about 14% of total emissions. Electricity and energy production account for more than half, followed by transport, with around 1/5 of the nation's total. Within agriculture, one source of emissions is nitrous oxide, a gas released from soils, such as when nitrogen fertilisers are used and after crops are harvested. But more than 2/3 of emissions are methane, mostly released as burbs from animals like cows and sheep.
Nitrous oxide is 300 times more powerful in the atmosphere, in heating the atmosphere, than carbon dioxide. Methane heats the atmosphere for about 86 times more than one molecule of carbon dioxide.
The debate within the Nationals is over whether agriculture should be included in any net zero by 2050 target, and if so, how much of the emissions reduction task it will be saddled with.
I might offer one word of caution for those who are, jumping on board saying they want it, they want it, they want it. You can't say, I'm going to marry a person and then say, I actually want to marry someone else. Once you said you're in, you're in.
The resistance from a vocal group is seen by some as Nationals MPs simply telling the party's voters that it's sticking up for them. Another view is the debate is again being used to undermine and push around leader Michael McCormack.
What we don't want to see is farmers being slugged unnecessarily. What we don't want to see is the price of red meat double. What we don't want to see is the price of vegetables go up tenfold.
His deputy leader, the Agriculture Minister, David Littleproud, says the government is working on a plan that would detail agriculture's role in lowering emissions, and only then could the party sign on.
I'm confident that technology will be able to prove it, that we can get there, but you've got to be able to quantify it. You've got to be able to have an honest conversation that you can get there through quantifying that science.
The industry's already on track. The majority of the supply chain are on track. The trains left the station on that, and so it's kind of a reactive debate to say, well, should agriculture be in or out of these targets?
But some farmers aren't yet convinced.
If we have to provide more of the carbon solutions at no payment, and more importantly, affecting our ability to produce food and fibre for the world, that's going to be pretty tough.
Bronwyn Petrie has been producing beef on these 26,000 acres in the New South Wales Northern Tablelands for 35 years.
We cannot be competitive if our electricity prices are so high, or our diesel, our transport costs just completely blow us out of the water.
Bronwyn believes farmers haven't been properly consulted and says that needs to happen before they're part of any 2050 commitment.
Yes, we want to be at the table, but we don't want to be on the menu.
We absolutely need to be at the table to discuss these opportunities and these challenges that are at the head. Agriculture is way too important to ignore, way too important to carve out of anything at the moment, because we think we are more of the solution than the problem.
Fiona Simpson runs a cropping and cattle business. She's also the president of the National Farmers Federation. The group is on board with the goal of net zero emissions by 2050, but says there's still work to do.
Potentially, it may be able to provide us with an alternate income stream for parts of or all of our farms. But it's important that we get it right, because it's complex and complicated, and we don't yet have all the benchmarking, baselining or science and tools that we need to actually be able to do that, and for the average farmer to be actually able to do that on farm.
On the outskirts of Broken Hill, Anika Molesworth is keeping busy, doing maintenance work around the property and advocating for more farmers to join the fight against global warming.
The benefits of acting on climate change are enormous, and there is an abundance of opportunities just waiting to be tapped into. We are so well positioned to be part of the solutions, and that's incredibly exciting.